here yet, so you got to picture a Chris Conti until Ren gets here. Ren will be here shortly, I am sure. But yeah, so just going back and reading through some stuff. Oh God, wait a minute, what has happened here? Hello, there we go. Yeah, okay, we just have Chris Conti here instead. Just a picture that looks wonderful. Yeah, so is Ronald Jones considered a speed back or a power back? For sure, a speed back. For sure, a speed back. He 100% is a speed back. He is supposed to be comparable to the Jamal Charles. So if he's anything like Jamal Charles, I think we'll be in a wonderful, wonderful place. This is G-Mac's moment to shine. Now he has all the pieces. McCoy is gonna feast this year, dude. He really is. I'm excited to see Gerald McCoy. Hopefully McCoy can have just a dominant year. You know, hopefully, I'm sure he'll be able to do that. Do you believe we'll make the playoffs? I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for whenever I do my overall season predictions. But I think it's definitely possible. I remember I did it last year. I went through each and every week of the regular season. I talked about it. I'll have a lot to talk about for these first 3 weeks. Yeah, but Gerald, a lot of people kind of bash Gerald sometimes because they say he doesn't do enough or he hasn't done enough. And they say oh, he always has an excuse. I don't believe that at all. It's so hard to be just an absolute game changer, at a singular position because, there's 22 starting positions, 11 on offense, 11 on defense. So it's really hard to be one man and just be that much of a game changer for, 22 people. And I think McCoy has done at least a very good job of being that type of guy, So I'm excited to see him. I don't think he needs any excuses because he's just so good. If you go back and you look through all of the numbers and whatnot, he's very good. He's very good. He's the 4th best defensive lineman we've ever had, and that's including Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, and Leroy Selman. Leroy Selman being number 1, Sapp being number 2, Rice being number 3, McCoy's number 4, and he's almost up there in the top 3 right now. He's kind of catching up on a Simeon Rice, but come on, that's pretty good. Who's the kicker this year? I know this position is not important, but I hope we have a guy that could actually kick field goals. So the starting kicker this year, is Chandler Catanzaro. So he's supposed to be a pretty nice kicker. He should be pretty good. I've kind of gone in depth for Catanzaro. I've talked about his mental ability, what he's been able to do with overall making mental pictures and whatnot, and how he handles kicking mentally. And I think he's definitely his approach is different than any other kicker I've seen, where he makes mental targets for where he wants to kick the ball and then he'll just kick it there, which I think is very interesting. It's very intriguing. So I'll be interested to see how he does. Hopefully good, because we have him on a 3-year deal. So hopefully he does very good. If we are legit and we have the pieces to make the Super Bowl, I would want McCoy to get that ring by the time he is 33. Can't waste all that talent and not have a ring. Yeah, McCoy would be he'd end up being one of those guys who doesn't have a ring like Selman. Selman never got a ring with the Bucs, that is. Or just ever. He never got a ring ever. So I don't want McCoy to join Leroy Selman, and hey, maybe McCoy will open up a restaurant. We'll call it McCoy's. He'll make sandwiches, and it'll be a really nice time. Maybe that's what Gerald McCoy will do. Maybe that's what he'll do. If we are legit, right. Season is coming. Yes, Raphael. Season is coming. Again, latest thing with Buck fans right now is that we're talking about T-shirts, man. We're talking about James Winston wearing this T-shirt where it's Winston against the world, and people are torn about it. Bucks media is torn about it. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. It's a weird part of the offseason, man. We'll talk about anything. Here's Douglas. Ren!
What's happening?
Oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening. There's a giant picture of Chris Conti in place of you. You've just you said you were coming on, you didn't come on. Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to get... Oh, there you are. Look at that, it's Ren. Oh, how beautiful. What's up, man? How are you? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Ren. I cannot hear a word you're saying. Let me fix my audio settings. Try talking real quick.
I'm talking the way I'll be talking.
Alright. Let me actually see. Hold on. Can everybody hear Ren? I'm confused right now, Ren.
I can't see you at all.
Yeah, it's like last time, Ren. You remember how this goes.
Of course, yes, I'm sorry.
Also, grade A levels of trolling, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, I'm not really sure what trolling means.
Okay, so what trolling means is like, you know how everybody's freaking out about the Jameis Winston shirt thing? Yeah, okay, hold on. They say they can't hear you at all, Ren. Let me try and remedy this. Okay. Hold on. You look... What hat is that, by the way? Puma? Oh, wonderful. Oh no, nobody can hear Ren. Wait, Ren, try unplugging your microphone and plugging it back in or something. Or try bumping up your microphone's levels. Yes! Oh, it's better!
I can't really see where it's at, but alright.
We did it.
Better?
Better.
Hear me?
Better. Wonderful.
More?
No, you're good.
You're
good. Okay, so Ren, what trolling is like, you know how everybody was on there like, Jameis Winston against the world shirt. This is stupid, you know?
Yeah, I think everyone's problem with it was the optics, that it looked like he was trying to play the victim so soon after he was suspended for 3 games for allegedly, in the state of Arizona, I believe it's called sexual abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know...
That's why people freaked out.
Right, but... You know, so what you were doing was like, you know how like people were like bickering back and forth about it. So we had like the Bucs fans going up against like the Bucs local media and
right.
You know, stuff like that. So whenever somebody would like comment something, you'd be like, or like there was one thing you said. I think it was like what the Bucs said, like, oh, you know, meaningful conversation on Twitter's dead, attention span's dead. And you're just like, I'm sorry, what? I zoned out. You know, stuff like that. Like, it's been funny. Your reply game has been strong. As the kids would say.
Yeah. I gotta change I gotta put big money somewhere in my Twitter handle. Hide my actual age.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But what are your thoughts on the whole Jameis Winston? Because I think, in my opinion, I'm not mad about it or anything, but I just think it's like, oh my gosh, everybody is so like. Not bored, but we're so just anxious at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. First off, I would have to say I think it's a major overreaction by fans. I don't blame Greg Allman one bit about reporting about it because the reason I feel he did is because it was getting so much action in social media.
Yeah.
Now, I do agree with you. If this was like week 6, no one would care. You know, it would not be a story whatsoever. But so sort of the perfect storm of this is his first appearance after the suspension went down, with, you know, the suspension being so close and, you know, there's nothing going on. Most of the players aren't even in the state of Florida, let alone the city of Tampa or at their homes or you know, apartments that they rent. It just became something to talk about. I actually went on the local radio 620 because I thought J.P. Peterson, who does the 3 to 6 drive time show, you know, I thought he was taking it personally. Like his first tweet was, "I've defended you forever. I'm one of your biggest people that's in your corner. But if you keep doing stuff like this, you're going to be all alone."
You know what? I saw that.
And I'm like,
I saw that.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, well, who are you talking for? Like, if you want to put, well, then I'll leave you too. Well, then my conversation would have been, really, a T-shirt? That's what's put you over the edge? Not the rape allegations, not the sexual abuse allegations, not stealing, not shooting up a hotel room with a BB gun. Like,
Yeah.
it's his trainer wearing a shirt that was given to him that he gave to his trainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he just happened to be wearing.
That's the last
straw,
man.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? So I just felt that a lot of people took it the way they wanted to. Like the Jameis haters that came out when the suspension and the allegations first arose. You started seeing, people that never liked him. It was their fuel to their fire. And this was also, this T-shirt incident was a chance for them to keep going, see, and for the people that have sort of been in his corner, like ride or die with Jameis, they took it as a personal slap, like, oh, don't lump me in with these people that haven't, been with you. I'm still with you. Like, where's my love? And I'm just like,
it's such a mess right now.
Yeah, it's like it's and I made a comment about the story of Joan of Arc, and there's sort of this scene in a Joan of Arc movie with Mila Jovovich, I don't know, the girl from Fifth Element, and I'm no historian, so if I get this wrong, sorry.
I'm no historian either, man. Actually, Joan of Arc, we actually did this run, so.
So this is how I sort of understand how it went. Where Joan of Arc was a deeply religious person, and she thought God was talking to her and telling her, and I think she was French, and they were talking through here to go fight England and kick them out of French soil. And sort of the tipping point for her was she found a sword in a field, like this rusty old broken down sword in a field. And she chose to take it as God has sent this sword down from heaven into my path to pick this sword up against England. And then there are so many other reasons why that sword's there. It's like when you find a penny on the road, it's like, oh, okay, or
God's
find money.
Given me this penny.
Yeah, well... it's not that somebody dropped it 5 minutes ago, or if you trace back how the sword got there, there's infinite ways the sword could have gotten there. Somebody dropped it, somebody throws it away, some guys are battling, one guy dies and he drops. I mean, it could be anything. But what she chose to believe was God handed me this sword, and that's how I feel like the ride or die Jameis people reacted, was that they see the shirt and it's Jameis against the world, and they feel like it was like he put it on to slap them in the face.
God has given Jameis this shirt for a reason.
Yeah, and he's not even wearing it. The whole thing just went wackadoodle, and so I said some things on Twitter, and like I said, I got a local sports talk radio. He hung up on me, but
really.
Well, I mean, he wasn't like, you're a jerk, click. It's just, we were in the middle of sort of a conversation, and then the line goes dead.
No, probably because he ran out of time or something.
Ran out of time or was done with me or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think more than anything, you nailed it. It's just, there's nothing really else to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like, it's still this. There's been a weird narrative this season, like where it's like kind of like die-hard-ish Bucs fans versus like Bucs local media. It's been like a very on and off thing going on this year, and it just it comes up in like very short spurts, and then it goes away for a little bit. And then like when stuff like this comes up, which I totally get it from the perspective of like the Tampa Bay Times and whatever, people who write the articles about this. Like, what else are you gonna write an article about right now? You've probably already talked about like, oh, here's positional battles coming up for training camp, and like, oh, look out for this player. It's like there's nothing to write about. So
yeah, everyone's done all their pieces. I think Pewter Report actually put out their during the Fab Five, which comes out on Friday. They actually did their way too early 53-man roster predictions.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, because the article comes out once a week, and you got to do 5 pages, and one of the pages was, hey, these are who everybody's chomping at the bit for new storylines. So, I mean, this media, how fans against the media, and I mean, that was something that Pulowski started actually last year. Once again, we'll go back to Pewter Report. Scott Reynolds wrote this article about how it was going to be hard. It's going to be a unique job for Ira Kaufman to get Rondé Barber into the Hall of Fame. Because he's a safety, he's a corner, but really he was more of a nickel corner, and his stats don't really match up against all-time great corners. But if you throw in sacks from his position, then it does. And Joe Bucs fan, took that as a slap to Ira's face, like he can't do his job. And then Pulowski jumped on, and that's when this evil Bucs media thing started, which I find ridiculous. I mean, you can't really jump on like Allman or Stroud because they just report the news. Now, Tom Jones, you can agree or disagree with his articles. I do believe they're his opinions. Do I agree with most of them? No. I just I keep trying to figure out who Tom Jones is as a person, like where he stands value-wise, because he makes very quick snap judgments. And
he could be bipolar.
I don't think he's bipolar. It feels like they're just not really thought through. Like when he came out with that article, said Jameis Winston, needs to be cut right now. We're going to see what the Glazers are made of. Well, that's real easy to say when you have no skin in the game. Like he doesn't have these millions of dollars invested into a player, which, by the way, no charges have been brought up against, and he didn't see the report. It's just sort of, it's easy to sit on top of the mountain and point fingers when you have nothing to lose. Yeah. And I think that's sort of where I am right now with Tom Jones. But as far as the Bucs evil media, I just think that's a bunch of garbage that got started for the wrong reasons. And anybody that's not Joe Bucs fan, or now that's not SB Nation, or Ira, or of course Justin, if they write anything negative at all, it's evil Bucs media, and that's what comes out and yells, and he sicks the dogs on them, and it's a load of crap. But if people feel that way, they feel that way. I just hope they feel that way, and they understand the difference between a columnist and someone who's a beat reporter. And but I think the name calling and calling people evil, it's a bunch of garbage. Needs to stop, actually.
Yeah, because there's a very big difference, between like people who have to do their job and they have to write this. They have to, because bottom line, they have to. And then guys who give their opinions, like guys like me and you, we give our opinions.
Right. We talk about
exclusively give our opinions, basically. Yes. Whereas guys like Greg Allman and Rick Stroud, they have to write these pieces. That's what they get paid to do. So it's rough. One funny comment I just saw was, Ren, be like Joan of Arc as the 6-time Pro Bowler and the best defensive line the Bucs have ever had. So I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what it means either.
But Joan of Arc's a 6-time Pro Bowler now, I guess. So I'm okay with that.
Are they trying to say that Joan of Arc is Gerald McCoy?
I think so. Right. I'm okay with that.
Like I said, I'm no history major, so
me neither.
maybe that's very clever to someone who's more up on Joan of Arc
lore. Maybe one or two people get that joke. But and then another thing I wanted to talk about was somebody just asked the question, hey, should we trade for? It was let me actually see. Hold on. It was Alex Weisenmiller. That's a wonderful last name. Asked, any chance the Buccaneers actually consider getting Teddy Bridgewater? What do you think about that?
Well,
first off, what do you think you would have to pay for Teddy Bridgewater?
Oh, right now?
Yeah, right now, because I think it'd be worth something.
Probably, I think high end would be a 3rd rounder and low end would be a 6th rounder. Mm-hmm. So probably a 4th or a 5th would probably what they would settle on. Here's the thing with Teddy Bridgewater. Once again, sorry, talking about Pewter Report a lot. That was one of the pages in the Fab Five Friday, and Scott Reynolds believes that it would be a good idea that they do go after Bridgewater. Now, I didn't read the whole entire thing because I just don't think it's going to happen, and here's why. We all thought that some type of suspension was coming down for Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Because the language is so vague about, protecting the shield or bruising the shield, or however you want to word it.
Yeah.
The language is so vague in the CBA that Goodell could probably, suspend you or at least fine you for jaywalking. Like if you're caught on video for jaywalking, and you tell the person taking the video to shut up, mind their own business, that's not a good look for the NFL, and you possibly could get a fine underneath the language in the CBA.
Mm-hmm.
So we all thought that this was coming down. If 1 game, 2 games, 6 games, we didn't know, and so the Bucs knew it too. And the Bucs' backup plan was to re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick. If they thought they needed to do more, they would have. They went through all of free agency and they went through the entire draft, and their backup plan is Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that's what they're rolling with. So,
Ryan Griffin. I don't.
Hey, I mean, I've said on our pod, the Pewtercast, Brent Allen, and our that Ryan Griffin was winning the backup battle in training camp before Cole Gardner, let his guy through and got him crushed and killed in the Cincinnati game. Like, that was going to be a tough decision because Ryan Griffin was easily outplaying everybody. Him and Jameis were close, but if you took away the nameplates off their jerseys and took away where they were picked in the draft, who looked the best running the offense was Ryan Griffin. Then Jameis Winston, and they were really close, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was a distant third. But now we've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though how bad he looked in training camp, when he was in the games, he went 2-1, albeit against lesser opponents. Probably the 2 weakest opponents we had last year. But now the Bucs know what they have in him, so I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Griffin to unseat Ryan Fitzpatrick. And this is something Greg Auman's been saying the past couple of days. There's a difference in winning the backup quarterback job and winning the starting quarterback job, because that's really what we're talking about. It's going to be the starting quarterback for the first 3 games. We know that. So to be able to throw away all that experience that Ryan Fitzpatrick had, and you've seen him in live action, and you have not seen Ryan Griffin in live action in 3 years. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for him to surpass him. I still think that he makes the team, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But
and
long story short, I just don't think Bridgewater or any quarterback is coming unless there's an injury in training camp, because they've had 8 months to prepare for this.
Yeah, they knew something, at least something was going to happen, and I remember they had expressed their frustrations, like, oh man, this investigation's taking too long. I think Dirk Cutter had said that, it's dragging out or whatever. But still, Fitzpatrick, he's been a quarterback in the league for 13 years now. Responsible for 8 injured quarterbacks. Hey, it's whatever.
Curse. Real.
When I was doing that deep dive on it, I was looking back and I was like, oh my god. I was like, but seriously, he's been responsible for 8 injured quarterbacks. But yeah, like what you just said, for Ryan Griffin to have to win that starting job for the first 3 weeks, it is going to be hard because Ryan Fitzpatrick has so much more sway, I guess you could say, in terms of the argument for why he should be the starter.
He has a coach's trust as well.
Yeah, and it would a lot of stuff would have to happen where Ryan Griffin would just have to play insanely good, not insanely good, but Ryan Griffin would have to play good. Fitzpatrick would have to play very not good, and it would then
and have a hand injury on his throwing.
Yeah, and the coaches would have to say all right, screw it, we're gonna go with Griffin instead.
And it'd be a game time decision. That's about as best as Ryan Griffin can hope for.
Yeah, in terms of right now, and like what you said, especially at this point when we're about to go to training camp here in a couple of weeks,
which I will be there all 6 days as well.
We both will be. It'll be a wonderful time.
We're looking into trying to get a few extra days, but we'll see how that goes. We've been trying to do that for about 1.5 years now. So baby steps.
We need the hashtag get the Pewtercast media credentials going again.
Yeah, because that will
it'll catch on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
all 800 of my Twitter followers.
Yeah, man, but we're only a couple weeks away from training camp now, so I don't expect a move to happen. You know, the only reason it's like we hear like tomorrow or like in a week from now, it's like, oh, Ryan Griffin or Ryan Fitzpatrick tore something or they broke something. You know, that's the only way. You know, and even so, we still have we brought in Riley Ferguson for a rookie tryout. We brought in, I think it was Austin Allen for a rookie tryout as well.
He's still there.
Yeah, so I think that you would just say, okay, well, we lost one of them. All right, well, we still have Austin Allen or we still have Riley Ferguson. It's not a lot, but it's a body there, you know?
You need four quarterbacks in training camp just to get the balls and the reps out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why that fourth guy is always just sort of called a camp arm. Last year it was Cepho Lufau, which we lovingly called him Cefo Blue Cow on our pod because it took us a while to actually get his name down. But when you saw him get into the game, the last game of the season, he pretty much played the whole entire game. He was terrible. But he was awful.
Yeah, but he wasn't so good.
But you need that arm in camp to throw to there's 12 wide receivers in camp. So you need that fifth arm to run drills that are just basically the defense working against a scout team offense, and that's where someone like Austin Allen and Cepho Blue Cow are. That's where they're valuable. So every team has four arms, and like I said, I just don't. I unless there's an injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick. If there's an injury to Ryan Griffin, I would not guarantee it. But if there's an injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick, then the Bucs will get busy looking at a quarterback just as a backup for those 3 games. But besides that, I think we're rolling, with those two, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting because, like what you said, 4 arms, so you assume, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Austin Allen, Ryan Griffin, and then Jameis, right? Jameis is still going to throw. It's not like he's, all right, guys, I'll see you later, He's still going to be there.
Oh, he's going to be there in practice. He will not get kicked out until the final preseason game, and they make their cut down the 53-man roster. That day is the last day he's allowed to talk to his team, to be in the facility, to text anybody in the organization.
And I'm confused. So he still counts. He still does count on the 53-man roster, right?
Yes.
Okay. That sucks because now you have to be like, oh crap, there might be some guy we kind of wanted to keep stashed on the roster.
Don't quote me on that. I don't know if you're suspended, you count against 53-man roster or not.
I thought you do because wasn't when Mike Evans suspended last year. Didn't he count? I don't think they made any corresponding moves.
Yeah, but there's a difference between counting and making a move.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Just because you only got 52 guys doesn't, and Mike's going to be back next week, you just might not want to make that move because you only dressed 46 anyway.
Yeah. So somebody said suspended players are not counted.
That's probably right. Either way, I could see. But the likelihood of, actually, that might be a good thing for those people on the bubble, such as the David Rivers cornerback, Igwe the safety I heard you talking about earlier, Sean Wilson, the running back out of Duke, maybe even Justin Watson, the wide receiver draft pick this year, or Jack Sitchie, where they can sort of stash him on the 53-man for a little while and not expose him to the practice squad where someone will scoop him up for 3 weeks, and then maybe they can sort of decide, in game time, in a couple extra weeks of practice, do they want to go with the Jaquiz Rogers or do they want to go with a Sean Wilson? So,
yeah, I'm sure the roster bubble guys are probably sitting there like, okay, well, we have, for one of them, they'll have 3 more games in practices worth to say like, all right, here's still what I can do, or you have more time to look at me, it's going to be valuable for one person.
Yeah.
So
cut that guy, not me.
Yeah, exactly. So that should be pretty interesting. In terms of overall training camp here, because it's coming up, everybody's getting a little excited about it.
Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's been some buzz going on Twitter. that's where I get all my Bucs.
Hey, that's my total news feed, man.
Yeah.
Like, if it doesn't happen on my Twitter timeline, I don't know about it.
Didn't happen. So there's been some buzz talking about how everybody's like, okay, training camp's coming up. We're all excited. Can't wait for all the Bucs content creators to make content. It'll be exciting. What are you personally looking out for this training camp? Because I know, like low key, like maybe like dark horse stuff, because I know everybody's going to be saying like, oh, Rojo is going to be good. No, let's see how Deshaun Jackson does, and let's see those cornerbacks get to work. Is there anything like dark horse type stuff that you're like looking out to see?
Yeah, we were talking about sort of those roster bubble guys. I think the best way to find out who's ahead of who in the pecking order is see who is playing on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Who's starting punt coverage, who's starting punt return, kickoff return, field goals, PATs, like who's lined up in the line there. That's a good way to sort of gauge who's ahead in the pecking order. Someone like, we've talked about Sean Wilson or David Rivers, Igwebike, people like that, see where they are. That's about the darkest you could get. I'm going to be very interested. I'll be paying close attention to the fourth tight end spot. Mm-hmm. Either Alan Cross or some of these undrafted free agents they brought in.
Kind of like that tight end / fullback role.
Right. I mean, obviously Brayton Howard are a lock. Probably
Auclair.
Thank you, Anthony Auclair. He's probably going to make the team more than likely. I just want to call it a lock, but if you held a gun to my head, I would say yeah, he's a lock. Mm-hmm. And that leaves one spot for like Alan Cross and these other guys. So I'll be watching that. I'm gonna see how well Benenoch sort of adjusts to the starting right guard role, because with Sweezy gone, but it's Benenoch's job to lose.
Right.
Watch him and Kappa. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be interested to see how the defensive rotation goes and who's going to make that. If they keep defensive linemen, who's going to be that last guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Stevie Tukulevatu is no guarantee to make this team. I think we talked about on your show, Will Clark. He tied for the league in defensive end with sacks for the team last year.
Yeah.
And he's no guarantee to make the team because we have 8 bona fide starting defensive linemen. Yeah. Defensive linemen. Or you could say 7 and Vivade is unproven, but you're not gonna cut him, that's for sure. So he's a lock. So if they keep 8 or 9, looking at that spot. The 5th wide receiver spot as well. Like after, Evans, Jackson, Hump, and Godwin, is it going to be Watson? Is it going to be Bobo Wilson? Mm-hmm. And then that last linebacker spot, which I think is going to be the last 2 linebacker spots, because we can, if they keep 5, which they usually do. Of course, we got Quan Beckwith and Levante David, but then you got Sitchy, you got everyone's favorite Joe Dirt, you got Riley Bullock coming back. Cameron Lynch has been off this team for like 3 years, so obviously they like what he does.
Yeah, Adarius Taylor.
And Adarius Taylor, who I think is a lock because of his special teams play.
Yeah.
So you can say there's 4. So then you got, if they keep 5 or 6, depending on, you got a draft pick, and you got a guy who really impressed the coaches last year in Bulla, and you got a guy who's been coming back and forth in Cameron Lynch, and 1 or 2 of those guys aren't going to make the team. And then of course the last running back spot, I think it's in between Quiz and Wilson. Quiz Rogers and Wilson, like who's going to get that spot? So those will be the things I'll be looking at. I think the first day I go out there, I'll probably be taking a lot of little clips and things to post up on Twitter and sort of get a feel for the way practice goes. Because now you can walk all around and sort of see what you want to. Before, you just went in the stands and you sat down, and whatever happened in front of you, and that was pretty much what you got.
Right.
Now you get to pick and choose, which I really like, and you could go from indoor to outdoor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're going to they said they're going to end every practice with everybody in the indoor facility for like the last couple of sessions. So like both will be open. So if you're outside, it's, oh my God, it's so hot, you can just sort of wander over to the indoor facility. That might be doing positioning drills in there or something like that, but you're free to come and go, which will be nice. So after that first day, then I'll start to hone in to see what I want to watch. Everyone loves the one-on-one defensive line versus offensive line drills. They have this really cool drill I like where they send a linebacker and they make the running backs pick up, like sort of fill the hole and pick them up, pick up the blitzer. I like to watch that drill. But as far as dark horses and what I'll be watching for, I think those ones I named are the ones that most fans are going to kind of wonder about, and because our roster is pretty stacked, like our starters are set, except for maybe cornerback, and that's probably going to be the talk of the entire camp.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, for Bucs fans who this might be their first training camps and whatnot, you've gone to many training camps. So for Bucs fans who like maybe this is their first training camp, maybe they don't know how to approach it and like what to do, like where to go, what to watch specifically for. What advice could you give for like going to this training camp and like how to overall approach it? Like,
well, if you're only going to one, I would say prepare to be mobile. I would say get there early. It'll be posted on their website about what time the parking lot opens, and then you sort of get out of your car and stand in line, especially if you're going early. Early as in early in training camp. That first week of training camp is crazy packed, at least compared to the rest of training camp, and especially that first training camp weekend. Like everybody's dying for football. People are out there. People are everywhere. You're probably going to be sitting hip to hip with somewhere in the bleachers. Now, if you go near the end of training camp, you've got almost entire sections to yourself.
Right.
So, but now there's no bleachers. I would say, find out what you can bring as far as water-wise, chair-wise. If you can bring umbrellas, beach umbrellas, whatever, because it is going to be very hot.
Oh, yeah.
I would say set up camp and be prepared to move, because now with the freedom to let you go see what you want to see, sort of have a plan. Do I want to watch the offensive line versus the defensive line? Do I want to watch the running backs? Do I want to watch the wide receivers? Have a plan in your head what you want to see, and then just you set up your base camp. Go walk around and look at it.
Just start camping out. Because I know a lot of Bucs fans, like they go to their, it could be their first training camp, and they're like kind of overwhelmed because they want to see everything, but like it's very hard to see everything, so you really just have to like pick and choose what you want to go see, and that makes going to multiple training camps so much more valuable, right?
Yeah, and I guess the best piece of advice, I just thought of this, I could give somebody is, unless you're going on a day where they have a couple of scrimmage days where they're going to do like a mini football game, the entire practice, unless you're not going on that day, there's lots of times where there's not action going on.
Yeah.
Where they're taking their helmets off and they're just sort of installed, they're going like quarter of a quarter speed. That's the time to go get water, to go use the restroom, to go, they have a souvenir tent if there's something you want to go look at. That's the time to go do it. Like if something exciting is happening on the field, like 11 on 11s, that's when you want to watch it, and you feel like you're thirsty, just give it a couple of minutes because it's going to end pretty soon. Each of those periods are only like 10 to 12 minutes. Some are only 8 minutes. And then there's going to be times, there's going to be quite a few times in practice where it gives you sort of the, I'm using air quotes, quote unquote, bathroom break. So at the expense of missing something that, that you really wanted to see because that's why you're there, there's definitely times in practice where you can look at your phone or gather your family together. Hey, where'd Timmy go? Okay, let's go find Timmy.
Yeah.
There's lots of downtimes during practice where you can sort of get yourself resituated and organized and ready to go for the next 11 on 11 drill.
Yeah, exactly. And just to confirm too, there are going to be 6. They've changed it, right? There's 6 open training camps this year.
Yes, there's 6.
Which is it's down from last year, right?
Yeah, it seems like I feel like I went to so many more last year. Some people said it's only down by 5, like there was 11, but I got to go to both. I went to every single one except for the military veterans day. They had one for like they had 2 days for club members only, like club member and suite holders only. I got to go both of those, and then they had one day where it was suite members only, and I didn't get to go to that one. That was the only one I missed that was open to the public in any form. If you look at this year's, there's like 6 open to the public. Anybody can come. You have to, obviously, you talked about at the beginning of your stream here, that you have to just go online and register, just sort of let them know a heads up, like, hey, I'm coming.
Yeah.
That they'll send you your ticket email and you print it out or put it on your phone, however you want to do it. But there seems to be a lot of private groups. Like if you look at the schedule of training camp, it's like, okay, military day, open to the public, private group, season ticket holders, private group, open to the public.
Those private groups, who do you think those private groups are?
I don't know.
Because that's kind of, I saw that too, and I was like, that's weird. It can't just be like Bucs Media.
No, there's some private groups. I don't know if they're trying to woo sponsors or
maybe it's investors. I don't know.
Yeah, I really can't think. I mean, I'm sure one day will be like they always do a Special Olympics practice type of deal, where after practice some Special Olympians come on the field, and they run through drills, and the players are out there, and they and they toss some balls and stuff. So they might just want to expand that experience to the whole entire practice and day, things like that. But besides like that, military families, like I guess whatever children's. I know there's some Glazer Children Foundation. There might be a day for those. Like I really don't know. That is sort of the question, at least that I have. I mean, it's not a burning question, for everybody. For me, it is. I'm like, what are these private groups? Like, what's going on?
Right.
But for everyday fan, like, they could probably just care less. Like, I can get into 6. Those are the 6 I'm going to. But for you and I, who like we say, we talk about the news of the Buccaneers. It's something I really want to know. Like who are these? Who are these mysterious packs of people?
Yeah, exactly. And then like what you just said, I alluded it to earlier, like registering online. For people who might not know about that, because I'm sure not many people are. There's probably a very decent amount of people who are gonna think like, I showed up last year and just got in. I'm gonna show up this year and just get in. Do you think there's gonna be a There shouldn't be, but like, do you think there's gonna be a situation where it's like, if it's too packed, they'll only accept people who have those tickets like on their phones or printed out?
Yeah, I think you worded it a little differently than I would.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a cap.
Yeah.
So like if you show up and say only 500 people have registered tickets, they're probably going to make you go on your phone and register and get your ticket. You just got to stand there and wait and do it, and then they'll let you in. But if you show up on a day where, let's say, they capped it out at 3,500 people, and you show up, you don't have your ticket, they're gonna you could get turned away. Now, is there ever gonna be a point where they get to that? I don't know. I don't even know if 3,500 are capped. Maybe they don't have a cap. This could just be step one into the future of them sort of trying to figure out how to control the crowds and make it a better experience for all fans. Next year, if this does happen where they put a cap on it and people can't get in, they'll sort of tweak the formula. But I think this is sort of step one into fans paying for training camp, like years down the road, like within 2 or 3 years. First you get people used to, you have to get a ticket, and the next year you go online, all of a sudden tickets are like $3. And it's like, what? Okay.
That would definitely thin out the crowd if they just keep on bumping it up,
Yes, and then if they do, I'll be demanding my
at that point you'll be at $1 and say, hey guys, come on
now. Look at all the good things I've said about you.
We've been doing really, we had a thing going,
I thought there was a moment. Was there a moment? I felt a moment. You thought it was a moment, right?
Come on, come on. I know you have them back there.
Yeah, I just want them for training camp. That's all I want them for now.
Yeah, for give it enough time. Yeah, so I remember I saw that on the website because I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna Google Bucs training camp just to get the dates and whatnot, and I saw you had to register online, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is new.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it isn't a situation where it's like, oh, you don't have your virtual ticket. Sorry, hopefully they probably won't reach their cap or anything. And just for other stuff they have at the Bucs training camp, they have like icy pops, they have like fun activities there. They have like this little I think it was one time I went, they had like this little combine simulation where you could do like a 40-yard dash and like a vertical jump and stuff like that.
Right. Yep.
It's for the kids stuff. Did you ever do any of those?
Yeah, I actually hip checked a toddler to get into the broad jump. Because they were giving away free tote bags. No, I never did any of those.
Yeah, I was sitting there saying, "Oh my God, please let that be true." Yeah, but like if you're like on the fence about it, you're like, "Oh well, it'd be fun for me as an adult." But what are my kids gonna do? They'll have like fun activities there, and they'll have icy pops. Did they get rid of like the? Did you say they got rid of the bleachers and like the overhanging?
Yeah,
they got rid of. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
this is
no.
Like bring your chairs and yeah, people are gonna roast, man. I've actually sort of been ribbing Rick Stroud and Allman and the guys from Pewter Report about like, hey, since the fans aren't getting tents. You've been to a training camp before under Dirk Cutter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sort of on the one end zone, they have the media has like their little tent, and there where Casey and Scott do their daily live show from training camp, and that's sort of all covered. But I'm asking, I'm like, have you guys gotten word that your media tent's going to be up? Because they're taking away all the tents. Because I mean, some of those guys. They don't leave that spot.
Yeah.
Like they don't, they're not into going out and video and little clips and sending them on Twitter. They're not sort of like looking at things and live tweeting like, hey, starting defense is out. These are the two starting corners and two start. They're not really into that. They're really, what they do is they sit there and talk to each other while practice is going on, and then look up every once in a while. Like that was something that sort of shocked me. Like some of those guys pay zero attention to practice. Like none. Like they come outside because I guess they feel they have to. At least I got to pretend that I'm paying attention. But but they already have their stories in their mind, and they already have what they want to write about, and they already have probably the questions formulated that they're going to ask to get the quotes to match their story. So I get it. But that tent might not be there. So watching some of these longtime Buck beat reporters melt in the sun. This might be a private joy of mine. I will be taking video and posting that.
Are you going to be wearing one of those? I think you even talked about it on Twitter, where it was like, are you guys going to be wearing those hats? With the covers on the back of them.
I have gone and purchased 3 of those compression take sweat off your body, wind blows cool shirts, like those $90 long sleeve sun things.
Oh yeah, I have one of those.
So I have 3 of those.
Like the UV protective shirts or whatever.
Yeah, that are supposed to keep you cool in the heat, and they're long sleeve, that type of deal.
Yeah.
I do actually have a pullover hoodie that just has like the eye holes.
Oh no.
But,
dude, you're gonna roast in that thing.
Well, I mean, but that's what it's for. It's for like fishermen and outdoorsmen and hunters and stuff. It's not to keep you. It's not necessarily to keep you warm. It's to keep the sun off you. Now, am I gonna go as far and as buy one of those pointy hats or a big straw hat like I'm working in the garden and I'm 67 years old? We'll see. But I'm definitely looking into it and taking steps to prevent this. Because it's good, dude.
For me,
it's hot.
For me, it's just sunburn, man. I don't want to get sunburned. That's like the worst thing to me.
Right.
So I'm not risking that at all. I'm taking all safety measures. So getting back to the comments here, I've neglected the comments here for the past like 40 minutes.
Oh, sorry guys.
And I apologize for that. A lot of it's been this one guy trolling a lot of the viewers, so it's fine. But
what a shocker.
So this guy says, serious question. I think we are better as a team if we lose 3 without Jameis and hoping for better in week 4 than going 0-3 with Jameis going into week 4.
Okay, what? Okay, that first off, that wasn't a question.
As a statement.
So he's okay. Can you repeat? I'm sorry. Repeat
so,
that.
I think we are better as a team if we lose the first 3 games without Jameis, and hoping for better in week 4. I guess just overall morale wise, things would be better. Than going 0-3 with Jameis going into week 4. So he's saying that he's saying that hey, morale wise.
As long as we're going 0-3, might as well do it with Patrick than our starting quarterback.
Exactly.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's sure. I mean, I guess that gives you the rally point to like, oh, now our starting quarterback's back and we're gonna run off 13 in a row.
Oh no! Wait! Sorry. He said we didn't read his first question. Jackass. Sorry, Zay. Okay, his first question says, "What's worse? 0-3 without Jameis or 0-3 with Jameis if he didn't get banned?"
I don't think it matters.
And
here's why I say that. I think it's how you go 0-3. Yes, there's that narrative out there, and I've been one to perpetuate it, that it's not a guarantee that we win any of these games with or without Jameis because of the quality teams we're playing. But I have also said that if we're going to win these games, and it doesn't matter if Jameis is quarterbacking or if Fitzpatrick is quarterbacking, the defense needs to show up. We're going to win these games off of defense if we win any. So I don't think 0-3 really matters as much as how you go 0-3. If we lose to the Saints 42-10, and then we lose to the Eagles like 28-14, and then we lose to the Steelers like 27-21, that's a lot harder to swallow than say they kick like the Saints kick a field goal at the end of the game to win it, or we're driving down the field and we're inside the 40 and we ran out of time, but a touchdown would have won the game.
Right.
It's how you go 0-3, not necessarily going 0-3, in my opinion. Yeah. But I do stick by that. It's these first 3 games are squarely on the defensive shoulders. How they play is how the Bucs are going. Is their success is in the defensive hands.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like, obviously, I can see why you'd say, like, oh, well, morale-wise might be different. I mean, because, you're not going to have your franchise guy out there. But, special teams defense, that's going to be a big part of it. And with all the improvements we've been able to make on defense, they need to show up. Mike Smith needs to prove that he's a capable defensive coordinator at this point. He's proven it before at certain points. So
yeah, that whole thing's just weird. I don't get it.
With Mike Smith,
there's something going on that someone hasn't asked the right question, or they're just downright keeping it from the media and through that us fans about what's really going on the defensive side of the ball, because it was so bad last year.
Yeah, when we went 9-7, it was pretty darn dominant for that stretch when they went. I think it was like 6-2 at the second half.
When we had that 5-game winning streak, the defense won us those games. Like, there's no doubt. We didn't blow anybody out. We won games like 19-17, Yeah. 24-21 with Keith Candy, picking off balls in the last minute to seal the victory. Like, the defense won us those games. It wasn't, we didn't go out and just outscore everybody, not even by a long shot. And that's why everyone was so excited for last year. It's like, okay, look what they did the second half. They went 6-2. The defense is awesome. They'll pick up where they were. Jameis is a year, has another year under his belt. Oh, here comes Deshaun Jackson. Here we go. And the defense didn't pick up where it did.
Oh my gosh, man, that was the saddest pause in delivery I think I've ever heard for a Bucs line. Just Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't understand what happened. Do you think it's a situation where like I don't know what it could be. What do you think it could possibly be? Like,
I
cause,
don't know. That's
'cause
why I keep scratching my head about it. You know, you've heard this sort of narrative this year about uh well, you know, we were last in the league in sacks with 22.
mhm,
And you know, well, it became apparent that Mike Smith didn't have the horses, you know, to get to the quarterback.
right.
Well, they were the same guys that came in 8th last year. Like the exact same guys.
Yeah, I think guy for guy, except like the only difference is like I think Will Golston was hurt for a couple of games. Spence was hurt.
Yeah,
Um,
Spence was hurt year 1. He did miss just about all of year 2. But that shouldn't knock you down from, you know, from 11th in the league down to last in the league.
and
I
like in my opinion, you still had your big hitters coming in. You still had Robert Ayers. You still had McCoy.
So at McDonald, you're bringing in Baker. You know, it was
Yeah,
supposed to be an improved overall, and every single man along that defensive line regressed, and it was just like what happened? And now, you know, I guess as a fan, you can just look to Jay Hayes because he's the only one who's got fired. But there's something going on. Like there is a complete disconnect somewhere along the line from when it comes out of Mike Smith's mouth to when it gets executed on the field. Like somewhere in practice, in the rooms, in the position room, there's something that, and it's got to be more than one person who's just not buying in and doing what they're supposed to do.
do you think it's a situation about like maybe it's like the defense? Because we heard talks about it for the past couple of years now, where players don't necessarily like this whole rotation system. Like T.J. Ward talked about. I can't remember if Gerald McCoy talked about it or not. But you had this situation where, oh no, Ren, where are you going?
Oh, that's right. I'm on TV. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
This isn't a podcast.
Sorry.
I just got up and left. Right
What
in
is
the-
this? What is this YouTube thing?
Oh my gosh. But you had this situation. Could you have a situation where it's like maybe guys aren't buying into Mike Smith's philosophy of being rotated in? Because T.J. Ward expressed publicly to the media that he didn't like it, and I think Gerald McCoy at some point had expressed that he also doesn't like to be rotated as well. Do you think it's just kind of a situation where it's like these guys don't like being rotated, so they might not be listening as well as they would have to what Mike Smith is saying?
I think that's a far stretch, and I think that's also like little baby stuff.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It's a bit of a stretch. Well, first off, I don't think Mike Smith really wants to rotate his safeties.
Mm-hmm.
He just feels that there's certain aspects last year that certain qualities guys had at certain situations that were better than others. So as far as the safety position, I don't think he really wants to.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't have T.J. Ward, I think it would have been just, Justin Evans and Conti pretty much all the time, with Tandy coming in every once in a while to spell, for injury or a guy needed a blow or something like that. But, if the defensive line didn't like the rotation, well, then they're not going to like it this year because that's
going to get even worse.
It's going to get worse. So I don't think that the players aren't playing or secretly rebelling or not doing what they're supposed to because they're butthurt,
Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better phrase.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like I sort of opened up this topic. There's just something somewhere in the defensive room that somebody's not getting it, somebody's not understanding it.
Maybe there was this theorizing here. We're just theorizing.
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's just a Bucs theory. So maybe it was a situation like maybe the reason Jay Hayes was gotcha. Ren is ill, I believe. You all right? You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe the reason Jay Hayes was fired was because and he was the only one fired, not just because 22 sacks, but maybe it was a situation too where there was just disconnect between Jay Hayes and Mike Smith in terms of coaching, and who's saying what, you know what I mean?
I think that's extremely valid, because Mike Smith did allow Jay Hayes to call his own defensive line, as in he allowed Jay Hayes to put in who he wanted in what situations and call which stunts or games or lack of stunts. Basically the whole defensive line scheme was left up to Jay Hayes, even in game. So I think the reason Jay Hayes' contract was picked up is because Dirk Cutter had to be talked into it by Jason Light that, hey, we got to get rid of this guy. After they picked up his contract, and finally, they got on the same page eventually, and Jay Hayes was gone. Which, by the way, he might have the longest tenure of just pure NFL nepotism than anyone else's career. He was Marvin Lewis, defensive line coach for how many years? 11, 12, 13?
A long time.
And they were childhood friends. Like, they went to Sunday school together.
Really?
Yeah. And Marvin Lewis and Dirk Cutter played on the same football team at Idaho State. And they played against Jay Hayes, who played for Idaho.
They're all friends.
So after finally, Jay Hayes, Marvin Lewis is like, look, man, I can't make any more excuses for you. It's been 11, 12, 13 years, and I haven't won a playoff game, by the way.
Yeah.
And you got to go. But hey, our good buddy Dirk's looking for a defensive line coach.
So why don't you head over there for a little bit?
And he's here for a little while, and finally,
he doesn't have a job right now, right? Jay Hayes doesn't.
Not that I know of. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been keeping up on it at all. But what were you talking about?
What were we
about,
talking
about the disconnect between Mike Smith and Jay Hayes? Probably.
Went on a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah. Welcome to the Pewtercast. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but it could have easily just been it's like, why was Jay Hayes the only one fired? Well, he could have been a scapegoat, but it could have been a very legitimate reason, It's like Mike Smith would say, okay, hey, Jay, maybe tell your guys to do this, and then Jay Hayes would say, hey, Mike Smith, screw you. I don't want to do that. I don't really agree with that. I'm going to tell him this. And that didn't work well, apparently. Maybe in year one, it was Mike Smith said, okay, I'm going to have more say. And then maybe going into year two, Mike Smith thought, like, okay, well, hey, this worked so well, Jay. You can have more input, and maybe it just didn't work out with Jay having more, if not all, the input in year two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm following you. But these are questions that those questions won't get answered because the coaches just won't answer questions about, a coach that's already moved on, and especially, they don't talk about each other in a bad light. It's just it's like the fraternity of coaching, and that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But but sort of round it all off, like last year there was some disconnect somewhere, and at least at the minimum some type of philosophical difference in how the defense was leaving Mike Smith's office and getting to everybody else. It was. And I feel bad. I feel bad, but I'm upset as a fan because it's the coach's job to figure that out and fix it, and they never did.
Yeah,
if you don't, then you're not a good coach. But Mike Smith's a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. Like,
yeah,
which one is it?
Who was wrong? Like. And like what you just said, it was probably a situation that shouldn't have been addressed by the end of the year. You know what I mean? And I get it, the Glaziers and whoever, they don't really make a lot of coaching decisions mid-season or whatever. But something should have changed, like talking-wise, like something should have changed in the mindset of the coaches. Like, okay, this isn't working. We need to, like, organize a different game plan here, like that didn't change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, Mike Smith, once injuries started to hit, I mean, he was running like like 5-5-3 fronts, and he was trying everything he could, but it was just these are questions that I feel need to be asked and hopefully answered, but
one day.
One day. But hey, here we go. Training camp's coming up. Get to start over. Nice, fresh slate.
Yeah, with Brenton Buckner and then all the new defensive linemen. Hopefully there's no disconnect there. But just to round this off, and just for the final thing we can talk about here, because we've been going for about a little over an hour now, Red. The final thing I want to talk about is just the cornerback position. Like, we've obviously highlighted it very much so through this live stream and whatnot. For you personally, who do you think is going to show up and stand out in terms of this now somewhat crowded cornerback room? It's getting there, because like you said, you had guys like David Rivers, you have guys like Javian Elliott, who's still there. Maurice Fleming got cut, sadly. I love Maurice Fleming. But you still have guys like MJ Stewart, Carlton Davis, Vernon Hargreaves, and besides Hargreaves and Grimes, because I think they're going to be entrenched as our starters, at least to start. There's a lot of fluidity. Is that a word? Is fluidity a word?
I'll allow it.
There's a lot of that for the next 3, maybe 4 cornerback positions if they want to carry 6. Who do you think is going to step out and like kind of take control of maybe that third cornerback spot? It's going to be Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart. What do you think about all of that just in general?
Well, from what I saw from minicamp, at least day 1 of training camp, it's going to be Grimes and Hargreaves outside, and then when Grimes bounces inside at nickel, it's going to be not just
Davis?
No, the one we didn't. Ryan Smith. Sorry.
Oh, Ryan Smith. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Ryan Smith. Yeah. Oh no.
I kept wanting to call him Justin Evans. I'm like, no, that's not him. So Ryan Smith, and then it starts to get a little murky. Everyone likes Carlton Davis because of his size. Mm-hmm. He's the one big corner that since our corners aren't very good and they tend to be small. Mm-hmm. Just because Carlton Davis is different, everybody likes him.
Right.
Right. So, but he has shown, he has come on strong as a rookie. MJ Stewart's extremely interesting. Like, he could play a hybrid. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if MJ Stewart ends up being a safety at one point. But from what I understand, is it's either slot or nothing with him. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's really sort of a battle between, is Javian Elliott going to stave off MJ Stewart for a roster spot? Because let's we got Grimes, and if your starters day 1 training camp, and we're playing a nickel. Mm-hmm. You got Grimes, Hargreaves, and Smith. Okay.
Right.
Then everyone seems that Carlton Davis is sort of next in line there. Then you got another draft pick who was, by the way, drafted before Carlton Davis, is MJ Stewart. So now you're 5. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much a lock.
Yeah, there's your 5. So is Javian Elliott there? Where exactly is Josh Robinson this year? Is just being a special teams ace going to be enough to keep him on the roster this year? Mm-hmm. It's really that last roster spot is really you're going to look at. But as far, I think going into week 1, I think it's going to be those 3 I talked about, as in Smith, Grimes, and Hargreaves. Mm-hmm. And then I believe this is all up to Vernon. This is the way I look at it. It's all up to Vernon. If Vernon plays well enough on the outside and MJ Stewart can leapfrog Javian Elliott in the slot, mm-hmm. that's how the Bucs would like for it to look like. Mm-hmm. Like, Vernon never leave outside, mm-hmm. But if Vernon has to bump in a nickel, then the battle becomes between Smith and Davis.
Yeah.
So this whole who makes what and who starts and who comes in first is all going to pivot around how Hargraves outside play.
Hargraves is the most important cornerback
He's
on
the
this.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're Ryan Smith, if you're Carlton Davis, or MJ Stewart, your future playing time depends on how good or bad Hargraves plays the outside corner.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be really interesting to see as well, like, if the Bucs maybe decide to carry 6 cornerbacks or something like that. Because, you know, our cornerbacks got dinged up a good bit last year, you know. I know Grimes is out for a couple of games. Hargraves is obviously out for a couple of games. Mm-hmm. It'll be really, really interesting to see if it's like, okay, Hargraves and Grimes could get dinged up again, you know. Let's carry 6 just to be sure, you know. Maybe that's a way that a guy like J.B. Elliott or David Rivers makes this roster. But like what you said, like those 5, man, that's pretty much a lock.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe if like Davis does good enough to like say like, okay, well then we're gonna have Davis be that number 2 over Ryan Smith, then you get into a weird situation where it's like, okay, well then that kind of puts Smith from being like this number 2 to maybe at the bottom of the depth chart, like something weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, since he can't play nickel, all of a sudden his value goes
like
down.
way down. Yeah, because you know it's like we have a guy who's better than you in Carlton Davis, and now
maybe they move him. Maybe they move him back to safety.
Yeah, you know, and maybe it's a situation where he might get moved back to safety, or maybe he's fighting for a roster spot against guys like, you know, Rivers, Elliott, and they didn't bring back McLean. McLean went to the Cardinals, didn't he? Robert McLean.
McLean did get signed. He is not with the Buccaneers.
That's just okay. All right, well, it is what it is. I still like how our cornerback room looks, though. Definitely more deep than it was last year, that's for sure. But Ren, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this live stream. Do you have any final words before we end this off here? Talking about training camps, whatnot, anything like that. Do you have anything you want to end this off on?
If you're going to training camp, hydrate. Hydrate. I cannot express how hot it is there because you don't really get to move around a lot and there is no breeze.
Yeah, and
it's not like the beach, man.
Yeah.
You're not sitting, there's no sea breeze. Like, it is, I'm telling you, man, prepare, get your sunscreen.
Yeah.
Buy your old lady sun hat, like, put on gloves.
Yeah, be careful, man, because like heat exhaustion, that's a real thing. Like if you get like so zoned in on watching the practice, you're like, oh man, I don't feel so good. Like you could, it couldn't be good, man. You got to be careful in this heat.
People are gonna go down this year. I feel it.
I think it'll happen at least once.
I'm gonna keep a running tab.
Yeah, just keep a list. We'll do training camp updates. Okay, only one person passed out today. Wasn't too bad. And that, it'll definitely be interesting to see the players too. Yeah, so, thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. Ren, thank you so much for being on just insanely short notice. Like, literally the first part, you're like, hey, I'll jump on. It's like, all right, let's do this,
I think I kind of sort of invited myself. I'm not really sure.
Well, but I was going to live stream last night, but I was disappointed because I didn't have anybody to live stream with. And I was going to ask you and Brent if you wanted to live stream, but it was like, I think it was like 9 or 10 at night, so I thought you guys were busy. So I was like, okay. And then I saw you in the chat. I was like, oh, wait, Ren's on. It's like, I'll ask Ren. Perfect.
Brent's actually on vacation right now. He's in the Carolinas. He's doing a family thing. And then he'll be back, and then he's got to go to Orlando for some function, he calls it. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but hey, none of my business.
Sure.
Maybe he's going to training camp as one of those mystery groups.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ren, you're welcome on here anytime. Thank you guys so much for being on again. Next live stream should be soon, soonish. Obviously while we're getting into training camp, I'm sure I'll be posting up a lot of content. The Pewtercast will be posting up a lot of content, so if you guys want to go see that, link to the Pewtercast will be down in the description below, and their YouTube channel. I didn't know you guys had a YouTube channel until I was like, oh, I'm going to search the Pewtercast on YouTube, just see what comes up, and I saw your guys' YouTube channel, like, before I talked to you guys, because I thought you were just, like, specifically, on the podcast websites,
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, wait, they have a YouTube. I was like, oh.
But we really We really don't.
I mean, yeah, I know, but you post the podcast on there. It makes them easier to access, at least to me. You know, because, you know, it's just easier to access. So, yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Ren, thank you for being on. As always, guys, we'll see you in the next live stream or the next YouTube video. But again, as always, goodbye for now, guys. See ya, and go Bucs.